back to the vlog. Today you're about to watch a 2-5 session that I played a couple days ago, and yeah, it just did not go my way at all. We ended up being my biggest loss yet, and yeah. Hope you enjoy seeing pain, because that's what you're about to see. If you enjoy, please like, comment, subscribe, get me in the algorithm, please. Let's just get right to the hands.
First hand of note, we look down at Ace of Diamonds, Queen of Clubs from the cutoff position. We put in a 3-bet to a hijack race of $60 and we get 2 callers going to the flop. We see a 2 Jack 10 board with 2 diamonds, so we have a gut shot, overcards, backdoor flush draw, and the hijack leads out here for $75. I don't think I really can be folding here. I think I have a ton of equity that I should just see here, so I put in the call. And the small blind also calls, so I'm definitely in a little bit of trouble here. So we need to see a good turn card, and that is not what we get in the 6 of hearts. So I'm pretty much done with this hand unless it checks through somehow, which it unfortunately does not. Hijack leads out for 150, and I put in the fold. I keep the camera running to see what these jokers had, and after the river deuce, it goes check, check, and Jack 4 of clubs from the small blind position ends up winning this hand. The hijack must have had a draw of some sort, but to call Jack 4 suited pre-flop for $60, set at a pretty good table here. $600 in my stack, and we look down at Ace 3 of clubs after a full hour of card death. We definitely have a couple reads on our opponents now. We raise it up to 15 from the low jack position. Button makes the call, and seat number 1, a maniac, borderline maniac here, he's very loose aggressive, makes the call as well. So we see the flop 3 ways, and it is a Jack 7-5 board with 2 diamonds. Checks to me, and I make a pretty standard continuation bet here for $20. It is a little multi-way, and I really don't have any backdoor draws, so I think I could be checking this more often. Anyways, just the maniac makes the call, and we see a turn heads up, which is the 10 of diamonds. So obviously the diamond draw gets there, and the turn goes check, check pretty quickly. The Jack of Spades now hits the river, and this is actually a really good card because it decreases his combos of holding a Jack here. And if he doesn't have a Jack, what really could he have? Especially when the turn goes check, check. So interestingly enough, he now leads out for $55. And I think ace high could be pretty good here. This guy is definitely loose aggressive. He could definitely be bluffing here, so I really don't think too long, and I throw in the call. I think ace high is definitely good here more than not, and we are good. I'm really not too surprised when I see that we are good, and he shows a complete air ball for Queen 4 of hearts. When he bets just over half the size of the pot on the river, I only need to be right just over 25% of the time calling there, so definitely a profitable call in my opinion, especially against that opponent. A couple hands later, we look down at Ace Jack of hearts from the button position. Under the gun player raises to $15, and there is 3 calls to me. Now, this under the gun player has actually been pretty tight here. This is usually a mandatory squeeze spot, but I just throw in the pretty nitty call here. I don't really like 3-betting against under the gun range. He kind of will play face up if I do squeeze. If he raises, I can easily just fold, but is what it is. We end up flopping a Jack. We got top on a Jack 5-7 board with 2 spades, so feels like a very good spot here, especially when the under the gun player checks. The maniac in seat 1 now leads out for $45. Folds to me, and I'm not going to be doing any raising here. If he is bluffing, I want to keep his bluffs in, so I just make the call. And this pot was extremely multi-way, so I do need to tread lightly. I do only have 1 pair at the end of the day, even though it's against a player that I do have labeled as a borderline maniac. So I do make the call, and we see the 5 of diamonds on the turn. This is actually a terrible card. I could definitely see this player having a 5 in his hand, and he now leads out for $165. Again, against this player, I'm not going to be putting in the fold, not just yet anyway, and I stick in the call. After my call, I look at my opponent, and he actually looks extremely comfortable in the spot, and then we are greeted by the 7 of clubs on the river. It does look like a very bad card, but would he really have a 7 here a lot of the time? He definitely can sometimes, because this guy, like I said, he's a borderline maniac, and he looks at me and he jams his entire stack into the middle. I roughly have $400 remaining, and he has me covered, so this is a awful spot. I have a pure bluff catcher here. Would he really be bluffing me again right after I caught him bluffing the last hand? This is just so brutal. I'm getting slightly worse pot odds to call here than last hand, and in my head I'm just saying to myself, I saw this flop extremely multi-way. He could definitely have a 5 or 7 here. So this is a very tough spot. I feel like flipping a coin. I actually look at the dealer and I tell him to pick a number 1 through 10. And 1 through 5 I fold. 6 through 10 I call. He picks a number and I end up folding. Right after my fold, the maniac has this to say.
What a bad fold.
He then proceeds to show me the 8-4 offsuit. So this guy now has a label of a full-blown maniac, and I am slightly tilted. This player in seat 1 just absolutely owns my soul with that bluff. Nice hand. We now get moved to the main game where there is a ton of action. We raise it to $30 with pocket 8s from the low jack position. The straddle is on, that's why I did go a little bit bigger than usual. And this player to my left, I have a lot of history with him, and he is another borderline maniac. So he puts in the 3-bet to $100. Folds around to me, and I am obviously not going anywhere, especially with this player. Now, this player's 3-betting range is extremely wide. He could definitely be doing this with some suited connectors. I've seen him do it with some weird aces. So we see a flop of the Jack 4-6 variety, rainbow. So odds are we both miss this flop, but little does he know I got a pocket pair. Flop goes check check, and we see a 4 of clubs on the turn. I check to him, just trying to get the showdown here, and he bets $75, and I'm obviously not going to go anywhere. I want to keep his bluffs in, so raising really isn't an option here. So I make the call. She throws me my $25 chip back, and we see the 6 of hearts on the river. I check to the maniac, and he bets out $125, and as you can see, I'm snap calling you. I am not in the mood to fold right now. 8s are good. He had ace-9 offsuit, weird hand, but honestly great pot to scoop in there. Definitely get my confidence back a little bit. Just under $1,000 in my stack, and we look down at the pre-flop nuts, pocket aces. There's a straddle, it folds to me, and I make it $30 to go. We get 2 colors, one in the straddle and one in the small blind, and we see a board of Jack, Jack 5. The straddler now leads out for $30 after seeing this flop, and I'm just going to put in the call here. If he happens to have some sort of bluff, I definitely want to keep it in. And this player has been playing pretty fit or fold, so it does scare me a little bit, but I put in the call, and we see the 9 of spades on the turn. This player checks to me, and right now I'm going to show you exactly how not to play pocket aces, because for whatever reason, I check back, and this is just absolutely terrible. I should be betting 100% of the time there. We now see a deuce of spades on the river, and he leads out for 35, and I just put in the call. If he has any bluff or crap hand, he's not going to be calling me, so I just put in the call, and obviously we are good. That is a mandatory turn bet there. He showed that he had the 5 of spades, so he really wasn't calling a raise anyway, unless he thought that I was bluffing. But terribly played by me, and let's get to the next hand. After almost an hour of card death, we look down at King 10 offsuit. Straddle is on. Under the gun +1 limps, and we're going to put in the raise to $40. Definitely a little bit on the looser side. I could easily just fold this or maybe even over limp it sometimes, but I don't really like that play, so I like leaning on the side of aggression. So that's what I do. I make the raise to $40, and we get a total of 3 callers. So we are seeing this flop 4 ways, and the flop is 10-7-7. So we flop top pair, but 7s are definitely a little scary, especially with how multi-way we were. All these limpers and callers should easily have 7s in their range. So, Anyways, I make a standard continuation bet for around $55 to get values from the draws that are available or the worst tens, or maybe even under pairs. We only get one caller from the early position limper, and we see the 4 of clubs on the turn. Backdoor clubs are now out there, and when he checks to me, I decide to size up a little bit here. I need to be charging all the draws available on the board. He's definitely going to let me know if he has a 7 by raising, but he hasn't done that yet, so I bet $140, and this guy thinks about it for a little bit and puts in the fold. So I definitely priced out those draws, giving him a bad price to try to find a card, so definitely think I played that a lot better than the last hand. Now this next hand is absolutely insane. Folds to me on the button. I look down at pocket kings. I raise. This big blind player puts in a 3 bet. I put in a 4 bet to 425, and this guy makes the call very quickly. This player has me covered. I have a decent amount of money in my stack, and we see the flop of queen 6-6. He checks to me, and I think about it for a couple seconds because this guy could definitely have queen in his range here. But I put out a continuation bet of 225 or on a quarter size of the pot, and this guy goes all in immediately. It sucks, but I'm putting in the call. He has ace queen and gets there immediately on the turn. Absolutely brutal. I am tilted out of my mind here. We lose a $2,800 pot. We get it in as a huge favorite, 80% favorite on the flop, and that is just extremely brutal. All of our chips just get gifted to this player who absolutely punted off but got lucky. This is so brutal and just wow. Easily the biggest pot that I've ever lost in my entire poker career so far, and it's just so brutal for it to come on a 2-outer on the turn. Absolutely sick. As my new chips arrive, I'm gifted with the sight of pocket aces now. The poker gods are trying to make it up to me, but nothing really ends up happening, and I'm taking the pot on the turn for a small $150 pot.
We are on a tilt break right now after that kings and ace queen hand. I have just not been playing my best. I'm going to sit down at the 2-5 main game where I'm at right now, and I'm going to take a look around, and if I don't feel like I have an edge over a decent amount of players there, I'm just going to move down to 1-3 where I know I can make money most of the time. It's just frustrating. When you lose a lot of money like this, it really gets in your head and definitely affects the way that I play. So, taking a break right now. Hopefully we get a nice fresh start. It's Friday night. It's 9 o'clock. I have tons of time to make this back and then some. So, yep, we're down around 1,500 right now, which is, it definitely hurts, but that's why I got a bankroll. These things happen, and I'm going to win that hand 80% of the time there. So, yeah, it's what it is. Let's get right back to the action.
Unfortunately, I slip into a eternal card death where I look at no playable hands for the next 3 hours and end up booking a $1,700 loss on the night. Unfortunately, these things happen. This is easily my biggest loss ever. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, subscribe. It goes such a long way. Please enjoy this reel of all of my dead cards that I got. And yeah, please support the channel, guys. Thanks.